All right, frugal friends, it is that time of the month. It is how much money did I save this month and what are the tips and strategies I use to get there. Except this month's gonna be a little different. Today, I am going to organize my tips in a series of questions that I've kind of developed into frugal instincts over the years. So let's start. So one of the first questions you should ask yourself before you spend money on something that's not like a bill, which you should pay your bills, is can you try before you buy? So this might mean renting something, borrowing something, doing like a janky DIY version of something, which, and the third category of that is what I did this month. I have had on my kids' Christmas list and wish list for the last couple years, like stamps. And for those of you who don't know, I have 3 kids aged 4 and under at the moment. I've been thinking of stamps for a while. Then I was thinking, you know what? I've never seen them interact with stamps in any way. I've never heard them talk about them, so I figured I should probably test this theory before I go out and get stamps. So I cut up a bunch of potatoes. Have you ever done this? Where you can cut a shape? I'm gonna have to get a prop, aren't I? So if you cut these in half, you can use the circle part to cut designs into, and then they can use the big hunk of potato and they can stamp stuff. My kids had fun for about 5 or 10 minutes and then they haven't talked about it since. So I saved myself about, what was it I found on Amazon, like $16.99 for stamps, because it was a fun activity. They didn't care that much. They would have been just as happy doing regular crayons and markers. So try things before you buy them. All right, next. Sometimes you do need to pay for convenience. I'm not saying that you should always do 100% of everything by hand, because if that were the case, everyone would have a wheat field in their backyard, and that's just not gonna happen. However, I do think you should ask the question, do you need the convenience for the price they're charging? So am I willing to spend $1.99 on a pack of flour at the grocery store? Yeah, I'm willing to pay for that convenience because I don't want to grow my own wheat berries or grind them myself. However, there are some forms of inconvenience that are so much less expensive compared to the amount of work necessary to make things convenient. I'm just willing to do them myself. For example, it's snowy here in Maine. I have reasons that I need to make sure my pathway to my house is very clear of snow and ice, so no one's going to be tripping or slipping on it. So we are going to buy salt for our pathway. However, you can buy the really convenient handheld shaker container, which just allows you to spread it very easily, or you can buy the big hunkin' bags of salt. We one time, a couple years ago, bought the container of salt that's very easy to shake, and we've since been buying the big bags of salt and just putting things into the shaker. Or sometimes, what was the other one I saw my husband doing? Just an old container and a solo cup. There we go, that's easy too. So because bagged salt is 39 cents a pound and convenient shaker salt is 89 cents a pound, I saved $19.33 by buying the bag salt. All right, here's one that I always feel like I'm a little bit personally attacking myself when I ask myself this question, because I really don't want to hear the answer because I know I'm right. But one of the questions I have to ask is do you have time for this, Hillary? I have a lot of fun ideas of things I would like to do and versions of myself I would like to become. But I do need to come to reality and not buy products for the me I hope to be when I'm not there yet. If I get to that point, I can buy the things that she needs, but I'm here. And so I have been wanting an indoor greenhouse to start vegetable seedlings because I love gardening more than almost anything on the planet. It is the one thing I am always 100% of the time, every single year, willing to spend my money on. But indoor seed starting is, for me, in this season, it would take too much time to use this product. Someday I will get it for myself, but it's just not for me in this season right now. So instead, because I'm also not going to start seeds and just put them in the window, because if you don't know this, then they will get leggy. The little seeds are just trying to reach for the sun, and then when you put them outside in the cold, they flop over because they don't have good enough root structures. So instead, I actually got this tip from watching the Three Rivers Homestead channel. I love her channel. You take old milk containers, cut them around the middle, and then you have a tiny greenhouse. And once I have planted some very cold tolerant seeds in here, like broccoli, cabbage, the like, and then you put the cap, oh, that was loud, and you put the cap on the top, and you can just I have a bunch of milk bottles in my basement waiting for the middle of March when it's time to start these seeds. And so then all of these milk bottles with these tiny cold tolerant seeds will just be living on my porch, living their best life, not needing an indoor greenhouse. That would have cost, the one I was looking at on Amazon was $130. Someday I will spend my money on it, but it is not for me in this season now. And it's important to know that before you buy stuff, because otherwise it's cluttering up your house and you spent your money. All right, here's one I know we are all guilty of. And if you are watching this video, that means you're on YouTube. And that means you either spent money on YouTube Premium or you get advertisements on your videos. Question number 4 I asked myself is, do I just want to buy this product because the internet told me I should want it? I would love to know in the comments anything that the internet has tried to convince you to buy, because I think sometimes it can be very funny. But recently I was scrolling through Pinterest trying to get ideas for a unicorn princess pony birthday party. And I was getting some visuals of like art displays. I was like, oh my gosh, Pinterest, how did you know I have been having a problem with way too much art accumulating in my house? And I am feeling a tremendous amount of mom guilt for throwing it away. Pinterest gave me a solution. I just buy their thing from this website and it gives me a nice way to display all of the things. I was like, that's brilliant. They found a way to solve my problem. However, once I closed the app and was thinking about it a little bit more, because I have this frugal instinct that just gives me a pause for a second, like, wait a second, the internet wants me to buy a thing. So I came up with my own solution. Yeah, so now I have a way to display my kids' art. I just found some string and there was already a piece of wood jutting out from the wall and I had tiny little clippies. And now it's real fun and the kids have a good time like deciding which art they want to display that week. The art displays that I was looking at on Amazon were going from anywhere from $20 to $50. And it was a very brief look on Amazon because once I saw those prices, I'm like, oh no. Other thing that the internet recently convinced my husband and I that we might want is it's a product called a nugget, which is not a food product. If you're a mom of small children, you might have heard of this one before. It's like a child-size couch with like cushions that the kids can easily take apart and like turn into structures because, you know, kids like making forts and stuff. We've recently rearranged parts of our house and we're thinking, oh, maybe it would be fun to get like a kid couch over here. And I was thinking and looking and thinking. And then one day when my husband was working, I went to the basement and I pulled up an old mattress we have. And you want to know how old this mattress is? It still says, I love Paul on it from when I was in the 7th grade. It's still in good condition for like a pretty old mattress. It's not stained or anything like that. So I put some nice sheets and nice quilts on it and like a little nursing pillow with the back. And so now it's a nice little reading nook for our kids. And they have really enjoyed, especially the baby. He's really been enjoying like a very low to the ground surface to climb on top of. And what coming up with this alternative has taught me is that the problem of kids want to take things apart to make structures out of them is just as easily solved with our living room cushions. They're gonna do that anyway, right? And the second problem of needing a comfy surface in the kids' playroom is solved by another product, old mattress. So we didn't need to make a purchase. So I guess that's kind of a 2-for-1 in the questions department. Nugget couches are expensive though. Because we didn't buy one, we saved $249. Hooah. Not that we would have spent all of that money all on our own on an impulse buy in the month of February, but it's worth noting. But to continue with the kid theme, 5th question I sometimes ask myself is, would I lose something by not DIYing this project? So here's the story. And I actually do feel a little bit embarrassed about this one. It was Valentine's Day. I've never had a kid going to a classroom for Valentine's Day where they're supposed to bring stuff. And so I didn't know how crazy some of the Valentines would be. And the part I'm mostly embarrassed about is that I did forget. I intended to send my daughter with candy, conversation hearts or lollipops or something, like something to acknowledge that she cares about her friends. I wish I had remembered the candy, but we did remember to make the Valentines. And my daughter very intentionally was thinking of certain friends in her class and was like, oh, that friend really likes the Ninja Turtles because I like the Ninja Turtles. And so she drew everyone in her class a Ninja Turtle Valentine. Like she handmade all of the Valentines for the kids in her class. And her teacher came up to me after Valentine's Day was over and she's like, you know, just thank you. Those handmade Valentines were so cute. And I really appreciated that my daughter got a chance to practice her drawing skills, which she'd been a little self-conscious about, and practice her writing skills. She wrote like a couple of the letters in each of her friends' names and it was really, really cool. And I was so proud of her for doing it. So we would have lost something by not doing Valentine's cards that way this year. So That was really cool. If you go to the store, like a Walmart or something, you can get like a pack of kind of crappy quality Valentines for about $3 a piece. And I also found out that you can get nicer ones, which some of the kids in my kids' class gave out, and they're like $10 for a pack of those. So I'm gonna just say the low end, but I had no idea Valentines could be so expensive. Question number 6 I asked myself is, could I have anticipated this need? This is kind of a cop-out because it does require thinking in advance of you having this impulse need and possibly like denying yourself in the moment until you can anticipate it next time. One day this month, my son came up to me, he's like, Mama, I want chocolate chip cookies. And I'm like, you know what, bud? Me too. Let's make some. But it turned out we didn't have any chocolate chips, and I said, oh no. And then I went into the freezer and said, oh yes, I made a batch of cookie dough and I froze it. And I found a 1-quart frozen bag full of pre-made cookie dough. And all I had to do was cut it out of the bag, slice it up into little cubes. We baked them. Delicious. 0 effort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, okay. A little bit of effort because turns out I didn't put the temperature on the oven to the correct temperature. So they were a little burned on the bottom a bit. But because I learned from the Tightwad Gazette that if you really want those cookies not to go to waste, you can take a cheese grater and just grate a little bit of the burned part off the bottom of the cookie, and bada bing, bada boom, they are perfect. So I got 30 cookies out of my 1-quart Ziploc bag. One Pillsbury 12-pack frozen in the store is going to cost you $3.69. So I saved $9.23 by making cookie dough a month ago. Finally, a question I have to ask myself multiple times a day, not always in reference to saving money, just in general. The question is, are you panicking? But when it comes to saving money, there are times when you do need to make fast decisions. Sometimes they are expensive decisions, sometimes they're emergencies you need to spend money on. However, it's still worth at least taking one step back. I just literally did that. Just asking yourself if you're thinking of making this choice out of a sense of panic. So I was mortified to realize that here I am in my 30s and I didn't know until this month that you needed to clean your dryer vent. I mean, I always knew you had to clean the little thing that comes out from the actual dryer. Didn't know you had to clean the vent. 2 days after I learned this, an acquaintance of mine had a giant house fire because of her dryer vent. And so I panicked and I started thinking, oh my gosh, we got to clean the dryer vent. And I started asking people I know, and they're like, oh no, don't clean the dryer vent. Just get a whole brand new dryer vent. Someone's like, no, you got to hire a guy and they'll clean out your dryer vent. So this started panicking more. And I talked to my husband and he's like, hey, did you know that I clean it out every time I have to like pop the joints out and fix stuff? Like, I clean it out, it's okay. And I'm like, oh really? Because I was very close to just booking a call with the dryer vent cleaner man and feeling very responsible. And the dryer vent cleaning man around here will charge $170 for this service. And I don't know how much a dryer vent cleaning kit costs, or if you won't buy a whole new vent, I don't know how much that costs, but I took my shop vac. And first I unplugged my dryer because that is important. And then I took the shop vac and I decided I was going to go and just clean up everything else just to make myself feel a little bit better. Word of warning, the shop vacs have 2 settings, one that sucks in and one that blows out. And so if you're putting the shop vac hose down because you think you're about to suck up all that nasty lint, but you accidentally have it on the other setting, you are about to have an explosion of lint all over yourself and your basement. And you're going to cough for a while. I luckily was not filming at that point of this experience because I would feel obligated to mortify myself in front of all of you. But luckily there's no footage, it doesn't exist, but you can hear the story. YouTube will teach you if you want how to clean your dryer vents with a shop vac, with a leaf blower. What's the other one? An air compressor. There's a lot of different things you can do by yourself at your house to clean out your dryer vent without making purchases. But do be warned if you also don't know that you do need to clean your dryer vents. The other thing I was panicking about recently was that our recycling bin got run over at the end of our driveway and it was pretty banged up. And so I was like, oh man, we gotta go buy a new one. And then I'm like, hold up a second. Duct tape fixes everything. I did have to spend money because I was 100% out of duct tape at the house. The kids were using duct tape for a project recently. They built a little Paw Patrol pup hotel with the last of my duct tape. So I had to go to Walmart and get some more duct tape. But still, it was $6 for the duct tape and it was $30 for a new trash can. So if you subtract the two, that means I saved $24 by fixing my own dang trash can. And I'm pretty pretty sure it's gonna work. It's a little different now with the little handle, the floopy doop. Doesn't work as well anymore. But sometimes being frugal is going, this is good enough. And it's a trash can, so it's good enough. All right, guys, what are some of the questions you ask yourself to help put the brakes on and prevent you from spending money unnecessarily? I'd love to hear them in the comments. And if you've never been here before, welcome. I'm so glad to have you around. If you've never subscribed or liked a video, those are nice. If you've never seen any of the other videos in this series of how much money I saved in the month, I will link you to the playlist of all of those up here, and you can just listen to me ramble for a while and hopefully give some useful information. Bye, YouTube.